Hey everyone, and welcome back to Master Your Life Beyond the Boardroom. I am your podcast host, Luke Beastall, and I think I do say this 9 times out of 10. I do have another international guest with us today in the studio online. She's actually living in Munich, Germany at the moment. She will share a bit more about it, but she's actually about to move from where she's based. I think she's been on a move a few times in her life, which has completely transformed in so many areas, which this is why we're going to go into a story today. But Paulina is a somatic liberation coach. Let that one just sit with you for a second. And we're going to talk what that actually means, especially from her perspective. She's also an operations manager. So she does a lot with the finance side. She's working within a startup. So she is currently employed, but she has got a dream business on the side, which her passion, her dream, her mission is to fulfill that down the line. So this is going to be a really cool story to delve into, and I can't wait to sort of open it up and see where this goes. So Paulina, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
We was chatting before, and obviously we've had a call. You know, this has been a long time coming. Obviously, patience from both of us, we appreciate it. So just for our audience, because you know we hear so many different roles, so many different places, themes. Could you just give us a bit of a summary of, what a somatic liberation coach is? Because I'm actually intrigued as well.
Yeah, for sure. They've definitely heard the name somatic thrown multiple times, especially in the past year, how it's become a little bit more known and trendy. So for me and the work that I do with my clients when it comes to somatic liberation, it's all about connecting ourselves to our body to first find out what are the emotions that we're feeling, or maybe suppressing and not feeling because of whatever patterns, protective mechanisms we've established, and then slowly allowing to unmask them. So slowly taking off all of the resistance, the protection, and allowing ourselves to feel and express all the emotions that we feel within. And this is where the liberation part comes, because through the discovery of the emotions that we feel, that we are able to then express, through that, we learn what they're trying to tell us. Our emotions are messengers, and very often when we get to know what we are feeling in certain different situations or as a result of an experience, we're able to then say, oh, okay, maybe I'm feeling anger because a boundary was crossed or a boundary was not set. So this is what the somatic from the emotional, physical side, and liberation more of, okay, now I'm feeling it, I'm expressing it, and now, wow, I can make the decisions in my life that are aligned with my truth, with who I am, because I'm able to listen to myself and listen to the emotions that I feel from the different experiences or situations that happen.
This is actually really interesting to hear, because obviously you said it was quite trendy, the word. Obviously it's about the emotions. I like the, emotions are sort of messengers. Do you sort of feel, I mean, this is from your obviously experience of going into this world. Do you feel a lot more people are aware of their emotions, or do you find that your role is to sort of extract that out? Or because obviously now this is becoming more of a popular thing, I'm just wondering if that's something that you come across.
I think there's a mixture. I think a lot of the clients, especially that I work with, they logically, so in their mind, they know that there is anger, there is in general anger, sadness, joy, grief, disappointment, that there is a range of emotions, but very often they find themselves leaning more towards a couple and not really feeling or experiencing the others. And when I think now with the trend, maybe they're learning a lot more how important it is to be able to feel an equal amount of all of those emotions. That's when they are now like, okay, so now let me work on actually what that means for me. So what does it mean for me to feel anger, for me to feel sadness? Or maybe why haven't I really felt the extent of joy that I maybe see or think people experiencing? Or the same with anger, especially with anger, which is an emotion that I love to work with because it's so, it's not looked at enough. And anger being this dangerous, aggressive emotion, it's like, oh, so why am I not feeling it? But I can feel it, and then it just comes out in unhealthy ways. So I think people are aware of it, or aware of the grand scheme of things, and then just learning how to apply it to themselves.
Yeah, this is really good. So I'm just curious why with the anger emotion that's not really, I guess, aware or spoken about enough.
Why? Good question. I think it all comes from years and years of conditionings. And even if we look at the past, right? I work with probably 95% of the clients that I work with are women. So I will probably be referring to the women experience a little bit more. But men deal with that side of experiences too, which maybe you can touch on a little bit from your experience.
Yeah.
But for women, especially for women with anger, it's like, oh, if she's angry, that means she's dangerous, or she's aggressive, or she's like too loud, too big. Because women, we're very much told to be quiet, be the good girl, don't make any problems, don't create a fuss, like just sit there quietly. But actually what that just creates is suppressed anger within us. And anger, it's not, and this is something that I maybe want to land for the person listening, for the audience here, an emotion or feeling an emotion is not the definition of who you are. It's not your identity. So I can feel angry, but I am not anger. Like I am not an angry person. And very often I think we've attached ourselves to emotions as an identity, and this is what prevents us from feeling them.
So what do you think makes people attach the emotions to their identity? Because I know this because I hear this flown around a lot with people when they are angry. They go, I'm just an angry person then. Or they settle, or they condition themselves, or the voices in their head, even if they're crying all the time. I'm an emotional person. I'm always crying all the time. I'm just a sad person. So how do you, like, I'm just curious, like, detach that or maybe help them with that?
It comes from what we hear as children, from parents, from teachers, what our parents heard from their parents. So I'm not even blaming our parents or blaming their teachers. Like it goes far beyond the people that we maybe even get to know in our life. But it's because there was a lack of knowledge, or maybe even I would go as far as saying we didn't really have the safety in the past. Like if you think of our parents or their parents, I come from Poland, so I know that my grandma was also in the war times. My mother was in the war times. They were not thinking, oh, can I feel anger or joy right now? They were thinking, do you know what? I just need to survive and deal with this. So they probably didn't have the capacity to even learn about emotions as emotions. And so it was just much easier, and it was just thrown out like, oh, you're an angry person, or you're so emotional if you cry a lot.
Yeah, so I think that's actually a valid point. I can definitely understand that. And I think, so you know, if there's somebody listening to this episode today and they, maybe that's what they're telling themselves, right? So they're sort of going, I get what you're saying. Yeah, actually, when I sit here now, from what you've just shared, probably when I do have an emotion, I am attaching it to myself. I'm telling myself I am an angry person. Obviously, you're not just going to magically lick the fingers and help them in one instance, but what sort of something from even your own experience that starts to help that shift slightly, I guess?
I think the first step is to change the language we use. And I'm pretty sure that probably 90% of the people listening to this would have heard about the power of affirmations, the power of mantras, right? But let's change it a little bit and make it a little bit more practical here. So the moment now, the person listening to this, you've heard us say this. So you know that the fact is you are not anger, you are not that identity. And in that moment, you can catch yourself like, oh, okay, I've caught myself saying I am an angry person, or I am an emotional person. And because I had this moment of, I just said this, now I'm actively going to rewrite that. This is a repatterning. So I'm going to try to retrain the muscle of who I actually am and say, no, actually, quite literally, I say this out loud to myself because it still happens to me. I still catch myself doing this. No, I'm not an angry person. I am feeling angry, or I am feeling emotional. I am sad right now. And just quite literally, it sounds a little silly and very simple, but that is probably the first step to starting to break free from that identity attachment.
Yeah, I think that's actually, it's not in any way complex. I think obviously we try and overcomplicate things, or we try and confuse ourselves with lots of different information. But I think that's a really nice insight there, just to help people think, I guess, a little bit differently about what they're saying to themselves and stuff like that. So I'm just curious now, with, obviously, I know you said you work predominantly with females, and, you know, they have a lot of anger, or, you know, like I say, maybe they like been told to dampen their voice, and you're helping them find their voice and all those sort of things. What's the like the common thread that you come across with a female when it comes to anger? Like, what are they angry about?
Oh, what are we not angry about?
There we go.
Yeah, let's start the list.
Yeah.
No, the first, or probably the biggest two things that come up with is always trying to be the good girl. And then when we start to dive a little deeper, we notice the anger behind that, because actually good girl meant maybe I didn't voice myself and didn't set a boundary, or maybe I said yes when actually I wanted to say no. And very slowly, the more we abandon our own truth, our own selves, the more resentment we'll feel towards ourselves, towards the person involved, towards the situation. So the good girl spell, what I like to call the good girl spell, just creates resentment and anger within ourselves, even towards ourselves, because we haven't allowed ourselves to be bad. And I'm doing quotation marks here, but just be bad, right? And the second one that comes up very often is the strong mask. I am strong. I am capable. I can deal with everything by myself. I don't need no help. And that then starts to create a lot of anger, because we don't allow ourselves to, this will sound crazy when I say this out loud, but we don't let ourselves feel like the victim. And feeling like the victim is also so important in allowing ourselves to feel the vastness, the fullness of our emotions, and even getting to know ourselves, to feel the pain, to feel the hurt. So if I'm constantly putting on the strong mask, I am preventing myself from being true to myself. Because, of course, I am strong. I am resilient. This is why I am here. This is why I am still alive. This is why I went through all of the... I'm allowed to swear on here? I think I'm allowed to swear.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
I went through all of the shit in my life. So, of course, I'm strong. But do you know what? I think it's time now that we rewrite strength, or I am strong, from survival to liberation. I was like, I am strong, and because I am strong, I can allow myself to feel sad. I can allow myself to say, do you know what? I'm hurting right now. I don't have to keep pretending that I am strong and I feel nothing.
Yeah. So why do you feel they're pretending?
Because we were probably put in a situation in the past multiple times where we didn't receive the help, the care, the support that we needed. So there was no other way. For me, it was the same. I had no other choice. I just had to deal with the shit that came up and be strong and pretend that everything's okay, because my other option was go down a really dark place.
Yeah, so I mean, I love that what you shared, and I think already I can tell you now from our audience that listening, this is going to land so well in the aspects of, you know, trying to be strong, not, like I say, just letting that guard down, letting those emotions come to the surface to be able to then feel them and then be able to change them from that. I think the more that you sort of just, like you say, filter, put on a strong front, it's only, like I say, it's masking a symptom. It's never going to sort of get to the root cause. So you've obviously gone through a transformational journey yourself. I mean, obviously I've read a bit into your story, and I think it's amazing. Just let's go there, right? Let's go to that moment that changed the whole direction of your life, because it genuinely did when you heard that news, right? So can you, let's go into that and share that with our audience.
Yes, I was 18 at the time, and it quite literally happened overnight. I woke up one day, and all of a sudden, and if you just take yourself back, right? You're 18 years old, you go to work, I go to the gym every evening. I'm also a partner dancer, so like I loved to dance. And then all of a sudden I wake up one morning and I cannot dress myself. I can't do the buttons up. I can't twist the key from the door. I can't lift a kettle because my joints were swollen and hurting so badly. And it quite literally happened overnight. And
wow.
Then going to the doctors, going through a whole process at an 18 years old to get rheumatoid arthritis as a diagnosis of something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life.
I mean, for you to say that, I mean, literally overnight, to like you said, you were giving examples, you was going to the gym, I mean, 18, everyone, oh my gosh, you got your whole life ahead of you, Paulina, and then bang, that happened. I mean, not to sort of bring up, and obviously I know his emotions, obviously you've now turned it into your strengths, but receiving that news at 18 years old, what came up for you in that moment when you got told that news?
I think this is a big question, and I wish I had a simple answer. I wish I could tell you I felt sad and angry and I was devastated, not sure what to do. But actually, because I was in a place where I didn't feel safe in my family home, I didn't have the space to feel comfort and care. What actually happened when I received the news was, and this is again, strong mask, I can handle it. So what happened was like, okay, good. So I've got rheumatoid arthritis. Let me Google what the fuck that even is, because I have never heard of this used before. And okay, let's do this. What can I do to help myself? And I quite literally shut down from any process of what I now know to be grief. I completely put it aside. I put aside the acknowledgement of my life has changed completely from the moment that I found that out. And I was just in fix mode, in go mode, in, okay, so what do we do now? This is how I cope. Whenever a stressful, traumatic event happens, I cope with, let's write a to-do list, let's tick it off, step 1, step 2, so that I have a direction, so that I don't slow down and deal with the reality of the emotions that are actually coming up there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I know you've not got a simple answer, but I just feel, if I was trying to put myself in your shoes, I mean, obviously you said you wasn't feeling safe at home. You didn't really have that comfort and that sort of safe space to be, I guess, open about how you was feeling. But at 18 to receive it, I mean, for me, and I really don't want this to come across the wrong way, but I didn't, obviously I know it can happen, but I wouldn't have even thought rheumatoid arthritis would be in somebody so young, in my head, I got it as sort of an aging sort of inflammatory disease. And that sounds so bad. And I'm sure some people might go, oh yeah, I may have thought as well. Because you think of arthritis, don't you? It's like when they get old and all that kind of stuff. But I know it can happen in younger people. But for somebody at 18, did you, I don't know whether you felt this, but did you feel it, this is going to hold me back from living my life? Or did you ever feel like, I don't want to share this with anyone because I feel embarrassed? Did any of that come up for you? Or was you just like, no, I'm going to tell people anyone asks me? Or
I think I went through a process initially, and just to touch briefly on what you said about young people versus old people, I don't blame anybody for not knowing that this is something that actually impacts young people. And one of my friends who I met thanks to arthritis, was diagnosed with it at 1 year old. So actually it can touch you from quite kind of like the first moment you're born. But I don't blame anybody, because if you look on the TV, if you look on the ads we're presented on social media, on the TV, on the newspapers, all you see is, arthritis. You very often get like the old woman's hands with all of the bumpy joints. And that's what we started associating with arthritis. But actually, it's an autoimmune condition, which means it's not age-related. There's multiple different types of arthritis. And mine being an autoimmune, it just means it can touch you from any time in your age. So I 100% don't blame anybody of not knowing. I didn't know either at that time. So it was also a learning curve for me. And when it comes to sharing about it, I think it came in waves. So initially when I found out, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell anyone at school, because I didn't want to be treated differently.
Sure.
I was like, no, I am strong. I can handle this. This is not going to do any damage into my life. I'm just going to continue how I have been as soon as I do step 1, step 2, step 3 that the internet told me to do. And actually, my first instinct was to go and meet people who have the same. And this is where it then started the process of me now. And if you're listening to this and you have rheumatoid arthritis and you're not there yet, please take it with a pinch of salt of what I'm about to say. But I truly am in a place now where I can say that receiving that diagnosis was a blessing in disguise for me. And it took me many years to get here. So if you're just at the beginning of your journey and you're like, no, fuck that is not a blessing at all, please ignore what I'm saying. But it started with me wanting to connect with people who also have arthritis. And that's when I used social media for what actually it's meant for, to be social, to connect with people. And I just went on a massive Facebook and Instagram spree of arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis at 18. And all of a sudden I met these people who have been living with it since they're 1 year old or 5 or 10. So that's where it then took me.
So you were not alone, right? I think that's quite a comforting feeling. So, and obviously you've already shared sort of where that blessing in disguise journey started from, hence finding your tribe, finding your people that are on the same wavelength, they'll accept you, because not that anybody would reject you, but you're going to have those, negative thoughts in your mind going, they don't get it, right? They don't understand what you're saying. It's on billboards or it's online where it's old people with bendy joints, but actually rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition. I mean, I know it is because she's not my mother-in-law yet, but, basically she's got rheumatoid arthritis as well. And, she has bad days and good days. Sometimes she's bedbound, other times, she's on her feet and she's absolutely fine. But for you, what just for the audience checking, because there might be somebody listening here that has got a relative, a friend, a family member that's got it, but maybe they are very much in the dumps, I don't want to say giving up on life, but maybe managing it. They're not trying to turn it into a blessing or trying to use it as a strength, right? Because obviously for you, you've got to this place. What did you, I know there's probably loads of action steps, but if there's anything, what did you do, Paulina, to sort of turn this into a blessing in disguise?
That came as a really, really slow, gradual process. And I think it definitely first started with me seeing people and watching people who are already there, where they are currently in their life. I know fitness trainers who have arthritis. I know nutritionists. I know occupational therapists. And I think seeing other people who have been able to go through what I'm going through or something similar, because this is, I think the something that every person with arthritis knows very quickly is that even though we have the same diagnosis, we will have very different symptoms and we will experience the symptoms very differently. So it's also really easy for us to isolate ourselves and say, "Yeah, okay, you might have the same diagnosis, but actually mine is worse, yours is better, and yours is easier." And we can very easily get into that comparison as well as a way of protecting or isolating ourselves. But for me, it was just opening my eyes to the possibility and repeating to myself, okay, if someone else has done it, it's not impossible. It is possible, which gave me the, not motivation, but it gave me this positive inspiration to then be okay, maybe I'm having a bad day, but doesn't mean my life will be bad. I can have bad moments. I can maybe struggle with something today, but it doesn't mean I will never be able to do it if I don't want to or if I want to. And that came from watching people who are really real, right? We all know this. Social media is full of a lot of multiple various people that will sugarcoat a lot of things too.
Yeah.
But I made it my mission to make sure, and it still really is, that I really only follow, watch, and observe and connect with people who share both sides, the good, the bad. And by seeing them as real humans, real human beings just going through life, I was like, okay, she's able to do it. He's able to do it. So let me just take it one step at a time and see where my path takes me.
Yeah, I think what's really stood out to me, by the way, and I think it's a lot of respect, and I'm sure the audience listening will agree, is the gradual process. I think, obviously, it was never going to be reversed, as in the rheumatoid arthritis. You knew that was something, okay, very, very tough pill to swallow at such a young age, but knowing that awareness came from not just drowning, it came from just swimming a little bit and finding, right, I'm swimming in a bit of a big ocean at the moment. Oh, I found somebody here. Okay, they've been doing what observing. Okay, so what have you done with anything that and then you probably, again, it might come from positivity, self-talk, it might come from affirmation, it might come from going a bit deeper below the surface. What did you learn, from like the diagnosis at 18 to then starting to bring yourself into this world with people that are obviously battling with it as well and are managing it and thriving, should we say? What did you learn from those people, and what did you learn from yourself, most importantly?
That looking after myself goes far beyond the food that I eat or the fitness classes that I attend to. It opened up my eyes that my body needs different things. Like, it needs certain food, it needs maybe certain movement, but that's not where it stops. Looking after myself means maybe my body needs rest, but actually mentally I'm really excited and I'm great and I've got loads of energy. Or maybe physically I'm having a really good day, but mentally I feel down and sad. So actually I need something to support me more emotionally. So it opened up my eyes, and this is where then my education about everything started, with yoga, with therapy, with looking after myself, that actually looking after myself or looking after oneself is not just the fitness class, it's not just the diet, it's your mental health, it's your spiritual connection, it's your physical body too. It's of course the foods that you eat and the exercise that you do or the movement that you do, but I think a lot of people get stuck in just these two, or in just the body, nutrition, fitness.
Yeah. No, I think that's actually quite refreshing to hear, because I think that's the first thing that comes to someone's mind when people say, you got to look after yourself. Okay. Obviously, we know it starts with us, because at the end of the day, no one's going to naturally do it for us if we are in pain. Obviously, there's only us that can sort of help manage it, make it better. But for you to sort of go in a different path of, it's not just the fitness and the nutrition. So I'm guessing then for you, you've obviously gone on a transformational journey. Is there anything from it so far? I mean, I'm sure there's standout moments or there's pivotal moments. What have you invested your time and energy into, like a practice or a movement or an exercise that has really transformed your life today? What would that be if you could pick one?
It started, and that's where it rolled off the ball of everything else that I then dealt with, but quite literally yoga. And I am not talking about the yoga that's now become popular, with where you go into a sweat lodge and you're just doing the most strenuous exercise class ever. That is not what I mean when I say yoga. I mean yoga with a capital Y, the real traditional, what it means to do yoga, which is a lot more focused on mindfulness, breathing, slowing down, being with yourself or being with myself, and tending to my body in a way that actually benefits it. Not in a way that pushes me out of my levels of tolerance on that day, but actually I sit down, I close my eyes, and meditation can be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, right? I'm just checking in with myself. I'm like, okay, how do I feel today? Today I feel like my right hand is a little bit stiff, or my right shoulder needs a little love. So my yoga practice means bringing movement to that area. It doesn't mean now I'm going to sweat and overdo my body again even more. So that was the first pivoting moment for me to explore a movement practice or an hour, a 60-minute class that allowed me to check in with how I'm really feeling, because that then meant that I made different choices in my day that supported what I'm feeling and what I'm needing.
So was you still in that then? So would you say stillness and silence and just breathing, was that sort of a big help in that? Or was, I'm only just trying to understand, so obviously yoga, I mean, everybody can go down loopholes. Was that more that, or was it actually moving through breathing? Or
it was definitely more of the stillness.
Okay.
But when we are in a body that is experiencing a lot of pain or discomfort or unease, it's really difficult to sit in stillness and meditate because your body's screaming for help. So it kind of came together because I moved my body in soft, nourishing ways, not with, I don't know, throwing weights around or jumping up and down in a HIIT class, but actually in a way that was allowing me to feel more softness and ease in my body. Then I was able to be still, be more silent, be more introspective, which then showed me more of what I need and how I'm feeling. But it is kind of the combination of both, because if my body is screaming, my mind will only ever be focused on the pain that my body is going through.
Yeah, so I love that as well. I think that's a really good point you shared there, especially the stillness side of things. And obviously, like you said, if you're in a lot of pain, trying to be still, you're probably a bit fidgety, just even sit with yourself, check in, see where your emotions are at, I think is really, really good. So obviously for you, this opened up a whole new path for you. Obviously you had gone down this route with others, found that, right, I've got something that's working for me. And then you sort of, you've gone into coaching people now. I'm not saying rheumatoid arthritis people, but you've just started coaching people through your own journey. So what was the journey like? Let's roadmap that a little bit. What brought you to become, a somatic liberation coach?
Yeah, it was definitely a journey. And actually, it did start off with me supporting people with autoimmune conditions in the beginning.
Okay.
Right in the beginning.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So the little roadmap, a little time frame that happened was I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 18. Then at the age of 20, approaching 21, I decided to move countries. I moved countries to my partner, and that resulted in a huge flare-up. My body completely going into shutdown mode again because, stress of moving countries, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
To then me, after a few years working, then COVID came around, and then I was laid off work because of cuts in the company that were happening. So I found myself with time and money to do something good for myself, or in general, just to do something. And unfortunately, when I moved to Germany, I didn't find a yoga teacher that gave me that same feeling that I had when I lived in England. So my diagnosis happened in England. That's where I discovered yoga. And the teacher that I had in England was incredibly good. And when I moved to Germany, where I am now, all of the yoga teachers that I met here were teaching a fitness class. They were not teaching yoga. They had no idea what arthritis is, and they had no idea how to help me move my body through the limitations that I had. So when I found myself with time and money, because I am a bit of a radical rebel, I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to become a yoga teacher so that I can help myself. And this is what I did. I looked for a therapeutic yoga teacher training. So I really wanted to make sure that it's teaching me a lot about illnesses and physical limitations and how to help a body with movement with yoga. But because it was a yoga teacher training, it did mean that I learned a lot about meditation, about spirituality, about the body, and about all of these different limitations too. And actually, it didn't start off with me wanting to teach yoga or wanting it to become my business at all. It really was, I'm just going to learn for myself so I can do it for me. But because it's a training, we had to teach classes in order to certify. And after those few classes that I had to teach and was assessed on, I realized and learned that, one, I quite enjoy it and I'm pretty good at it. So that's when I then started to go into that. And probably for the first year and a half, I really just focused on supporting other people with autoimmune conditions to move their body in accessible ways. And that took me, and this is kind of what happens in my business, it evolves as I evolve as a person. So while it very much started with yoga as a physical movement in order to bring stillness and introspection in, I then discovered therapy because I moved out of my family home. I was living with my partner. I started feeling safe, comfortable. All of the triggers in the world started coming up, and being in a country that's not mine, where I know nobody, I was like, okay, it's really time. I need to do something about this. So I went to therapy. Through therapy, it took me through different aspects. And through that work on myself, through the meditation, the spirituality, the actual therapy sessions, talking therapy, but also somatic therapy, that's where my own practice and help for myself evolved. And through that, because I'm someone who wants to, is excited about learning. So while I can do something practically for myself, I'm then going to be like, oh, but why is that the case? Why am I feeling this? What is happening in the nervous system? What is the nervous system? Why is it like that? So then I learned a lot during my own journey, and that's kind of like a very shortened way of saying now I'm a somatic liberation coach, combining all of the tools that I did for myself, that I went through in therapy, that I went through in yoga, to support other people dealing with this or similar aspects in life, not necessarily with an autoimmune disease or a diagnosis, but with a lot of different changes and things going on in their lives.
Yeah, I love that roadmap, but I think what's really key here is what I've taken away and what I can relate to, by the way, is the fact that your business has evolved as you've evolved as a person. Because I know people will sort of be listening here. We feel conditioned to be at a certain stage in our life, to be a certain person and to be that person for years on end, right? If you're becoming the father or a husband or a wife or whatever, and then you find yourself like maybe in your mid-40s, that midlife crisis stage where you lose yourself. You don't know who you are anymore because maybe your kids are grown up, or your life's just been your kids. And I mean, I'm talking from what I've heard from a lot of people. I mean, obviously I've got a young daughter, but it's just, for you, it's like you're learning and, you're constantly learning, but you're evolving. And when you're evolving, your business is changing and shifting, but it's not a bad thing. It's not like you have to be that way. It's just that maybe it comes, maybe it feels to people like, oh, she's here, she's there, she's learning this, she's doing that. Oh my God, how does she do it all? But actually it's quite exciting. And the fact that you're finding your path, and I'm just saying this for people listening, I think it's a big insight, because people feel that they have to be a certain way to do something. Whereas what you're sort of saying is, look, this is where I started. This has been my journey. I've just continually learned stuff that I enjoy and that I want to give back to people. And now my business started here, but it's now here.
Yeah.
And I'm still, I'm transforming people's lives, and it's a business. And, don't feel that you have to follow a certain way. I think that's just something in this moment right now that people feel so much pressure from. Obviously it comes from things such as like social media, because obviously everything's quite fake and filtered. But yeah, I just thought, obviously everything else you said about what you learned about yourself is amazing. I just think that is what sort of like hit me hard from what you shared. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I think this is so important for us to remember. While I've evolved since the 18-year-old me with rheumatoid arthritis, I even evolved in the space of the last 12 months. Like this time last year, I was still teaching yoga classes every week. And then came a point beginning of the year where I was like, actually, this does not feel the way that it felt before, the way that I want my business to feel. So let's evolve. Let's change that a little bit. And then I stopped teaching weekly yoga classes. In the past 12 months, I haven't been teaching group public yoga classes. So really, we need to allow ourselves to evolve as often and change as often as we feel we need to. We don't need to be stuck to a certain way or need to get to a certain place before we're able to help people. If it's something that you are passionate about, if you're passionate about supporting people, helping people, then I guarantee you there is something up until the journey that you've lived so far already now that will be beneficial to people watching or listening to you. So just start where you're at and allow yourself to change, to evolve as you change and evolve as well.
Yeah, I think this is great, and it's quite liberating, right? That feeling, it just goes straight into that liberating. You know, if somebody's sort of like sat here listening on the way to work or walking with the dog, you know, obviously generally when people like listen to podcasts, or just sat listening to it in the background whilst they're working away. If somebody's at that, and I'd just love to hear from your perspective, like what you would say to them if you was having a conversation with them and they were just going, look, I know what you're saying, but I don't want to say I feel numb, but I just don't feel anything anymore. I'm just going with life as life's taking me. I know what you're saying about this and let life take you and change it, but I just don't get any of that. I'm a bit sort of stuck and lost.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're feeling stuck, lost, reach out. Like, reach out for a little bit of help, a little bit of shake up, someone to like grab you by your shoulders and be like, do something. We need a little bit of a kick up the ass sometimes to like snap out of the numbness. But if you've snapped out of the numbness and you're like, okay, like what does this actually practically mean? It's about doing little things. So maybe don't change your whole career all of a sudden. If it doesn't feel right now, that's okay, right? How we started this episode is actually the reality is that I'm working part-time in an office and I am working part-time as a self-employed person too. So you don't have to go all in or all out. You're also allowed to take your time and dip your toes into one thing and see what the results and see how you feel. But about this whole part of liberation, just to bring a little bit more of that into your daily life, it's taking us back to this whole attachment of identities. By we, I mean humanity, we love to attach ourselves to certain titles. Like even, and I'm going to use myself as an example here, in the past, I'd used to think and believe that I need to be very professionally presentable if I go into the office, if I go into work. But actually, after some period of time, I've discovered that I much more treasure and value my comfort than I do wearing tight clothes and high heels and being this person presentably that I really am not. So my little act of rebellion, of liberation was, do you know what? And this is literally what I do, and I'm pretty sure if any of my colleagues from work are listening to this, they're going to be able to confirm. I take my slippers to the office. I do not wear shoes in the office. Like, if this is what helps you just do that one little change in your daily life, to be like, do you know what? I'm going to stop attaching myself to this identity of I am this person who wears these things, where inside you're literally screaming for more comfort, like in my case. I'm going to take my shoes off, I'm going to put my slippers on, and I walk around in the office with my slippers on because comfort is so much more important to me. And it helps to reestablish the muscle or the belief that knowledge or efficiency or how well I'm doing in life actually has nothing to do with the type of shoes that I wear. If I wear slippers, if I wear high heels. So it's just that one little change that we can add into our daily life to start creating those little changes, to detach ourselves, to be more true to ourselves.
Yeah, this is really good, actually. Yeah, if you want to wear them slippers, wear them slippers. No, I love that. I mean, some people might not be able to. They might get let go. But I think just what you sort of shared there, I love that bit where you said, look, this is where I am right now, right? As of this episode, we are recording this in December 2025, and obviously this will be released early 2026, is that, you know, you are part-time operations manager, you are part-time doing your somatic liberation coaching. The fact that you've said this, I think, is really good. And the fact that, you know, wearing high heels and not, not being true to yourself and all these kind of things. There was something that I read earlier today where a guy was sort of in the mountains, and he was, I know he's been a guy that's gone through a bit of a journey as well. He had a car accident earlier on in his life, but the way he just sort of said about how he feels and how he wants to make people feel in his presence is more important to him than actually what he's materialistically got in his life. Because I know he's quite financially free in what he does, because he's working out. But the fact that he sort of said that is quite inspirational and moving, because it's just his perspective, like going, hey, we might not be here tomorrow. Like you're saying, going, but I'm still following my dream. I could easily just go, actually, I'll go all in on my operational manager, but that's not truly authentic to where I want to be in my life. So I'd love to know, if we fast forward 12 months, Paulina, what do you want to be saying to that version of where you are right now in the next 12 months?
What do I want to be saying? That I hope I continued to trust myself through the different changes of myself throughout the next 12 months. I used to get stuck on very specific, and again, this comes from the workplace, very specific goals.
Okay.
Like in 12 months from now, I want to be there and there and there. And yes, of course, I've got a direction. I've got somewhere that I'm going towards always. But I found, and I find it so much more important to also allow myself to pivot when needed. And this happened for me also with my employment. I was fully employed. I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't feel fulfilled. So I dropped the hours down. Then I decided, no, I'm going to go full into my self-employment. I went full into my self-employment, and that felt so stressful. I was like, oh my God, I am not earning enough money. And now I'm wanting to help people just to earn money. And again, the intention, the energy behind it started to feel very yucky. Really. So then again, I was like, do you know what? No, this is also not what I want right now. So let's go now half, try things out. And while I'm having an direction of where I want to go in 12 months, I don't know what life is going to bring me in the next 12 months. So really the only thing I hope and I wish I'll continue to reminding myself of is to trust myself through the different changes. If I want to pivot again, if I want to change something again, that I hope that I trust myself through that.
Do you trust yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I wanted to ask you that because I didn't want to attach it, by the way, to a goal or to where do you want to be in 12 months' time. We always, people say, where do you want to be in 1, 3, 5, 10 years' time? It's really hard to obviously tell, right? Because again, like what you said earlier on, which is very, very true, that we evolve as human beings. We're not the same person. Well, especially if you are like what you are, you're keen to learn, you want to grow, you're aware, you want to have conversations with people. I think all those things, there's a lot that sort of stood out for me in this episode where, it's awareness is really important. Obviously, finding your people, being able to allow, I think that permission element to be who you are, wherever you are in your journey. Just let those emotions, feel those emotions and let them come out and not, dismiss them, bottle them up. All those things is what allows you to find where you go and you pivot, like you say. And just, I think it's great that you shared that. Look, hey, listen, I've done it. I've gone all employed, not for me. So I decided, right, I'll go all in on my coaching business. I still want to do that, but probably at that moment, I wasn't right. I wasn't in the place as a person to be ready for that just at that moment. But now I'm in the mix. So for you, I just want to ask this question because I know people are probably thinking this. What do you do to sort of manage those two states? Because being employed and being self-employed are very different, right? They have the pros and cons. They have the ups and downs. What do you do to sort of stay in a good state, to stay optimal in a way, to be able to juggle those both different roles?
There's two aspects that come from this. The first one is to continuously remind myself of what each one brings to the table for me. And the second point, and I can expand on the first point as well, but the second point is to make sure that I am still showing up as me in both of these areas. That it's not corporate Paulina and business Paulina. I am because I am, and this is who I am, and that's what I bring, and that's who I bring, whether I'm in the office or whether I'm working on my business. So really staying true to me and who I am. And slippers was just one example, but there's so many other ways, right? To make sure that, that I'm able to show up as me.
So expand. Let's hear it. I like that.
Yeah. So first point, reminding myself continuously what each one brings to the table. I think very often, and I definitely navigated through this myself, that I would just start to see the negatives in one or the other. I will have a day, or I'll have a phase or a moment in the year where I'm like, oh, I wish I could just be self-employed, wake up whenever I want to, go and take lunch whenever I want to, like all of the negatives of working in a company that are the reality, or asking for permission to take my holidays. Like, what? So there are moments where I would only see the negatives. Same for having a business. Oh, I still need to do my taxes. 50% of my earnings are going to the tax man, and I have to give all of that money back. So like focusing on that. So it's so easy to go there. And yes, it takes a little bit of effort. It takes discipline to continuously remind myself, like, actually, no, I'm in both of these places. And because of this, and thanks to them, this is what it allows me to have. So thanks to having my office job, I'm able to support my clients from a true place of want and desire, not a place of need and lack. And that is so much more important to me to remember, to remind myself of, that I don't go into this feeling of lack or this feeling that I have to earn money from my clients, because especially in the field of work that I'm in, I never want that to be the intention that I put into the work that I put in with my clients. That doesn't feel right for me. And so it's allowing to look at both, what they bring, and reminding myself, okay, that's great. Thanks to this, I have this. And thanks to that, I have that. So it's a little bit more of an gratitude practice, if we want to keep it super simple, but making it really specific. So actually showing myself, if I'm taking holiday and I have enough money to pay my rent, to pay my bills, and I'm on holiday, I'm like, do you know what? I'm so grateful I've got this office job, because actually I don't have to be working my ass off on holiday just to earn more money from my business. I'm able to just relax because, like, I'm not going to go homeless. I'm still going to have food on the table thanks to this. And so that's kind of like really deepening exact examples and feeling them in the moment as they come up. And the same for the other aspect of really staying true to myself in both areas. Before I changed my part-time job, because I went through a few, and the reason why I went through a few is because I allow myself to evolve. They benefited me for a period of my time, and then there came a moment I was like resenting it, not feeling good with it anymore. So I knew that that's a time for change. And quite literally, I made a list. I made a list of things that I need my office job to have in order for me to say yes to it. And that list came from me knowing who I am and what I want and what I feel good in. So this is really understanding myself. And only from that place, I'm then able to show up in that place as me. Because for me, it's important that I'm in a place that I feel valued, that I've got the freedom to make my choices, that I'm in a small team. This is why I'm working at a startup and not in a big corporation. So it's about finding out what feels true to me, that now, because I've got these boxes that are ticked, is what also allows me to show up as me. And because I'm showing up as me in both, I don't feel tired or drained, or even, I'll take it as far as saying, or stressed, as people tend to think stress is so normal when you're working in a company and you want to become self-employed. There's stress in both. There's stress in self-employment for sure too. So being able to stay true to me thanks to creating an environment for myself that allows me to show up as me.
I mean, obviously, this is just really refreshing. I know I've said that a couple of times. It is, but you've done the work, Paulina. I think just for sort of people to sort of, they can say what they want to say. Oh gosh, she's really happy, and yeah, she's got all her shit together, and wow, yeah, she does this distinction between both roles, and da 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 da. Right, okay, that is literally it from the surface, but actually, you've done a lot of work, right, on yourself, and how you've been able to be true to yourself in the corporate Paulina and the coaching Paulina, and be able to find, I guess, a counterbalance that works and aligns with your lifestyle. I mean, just not to bring negatives to this, because obviously, I mean, people love their negatives, right? But what has actually been, if you could pick, even if it's 1 to 3 things, what's been the hardest thing that you've had to go through because we always have the failures, don't we? And the breakdowns, the adversities, to be able to get where you are today.
Oh, so much pain, so much struggle, so many challenges. And I think the reason, and maybe this is what makes me, no, I don't think I am a boring. See, then I'm catching myself. I was about to say I'm a boring person. No, right. I'm not a boring person. But I don't have a lot of big distinguishing moments that changed a lot of things for me, or that I can define as a big fuck up or a big struggle.
Right.
It all definitely comes from an accumulation of little things. And I think there is a big added aspect of the fact that my body, and this is what I learned about myself also through therapy, when I experienced trauma, and experienced a lot of trauma in my childhood, my body immediately goes into, oh, let's forget about this. And my memory completely blanks off. So actually, when I look too far back, I can't even tell you exactly how it's happening in my life, because I just don't remember. So I remember all of the little turning stones, all the little moments, and the hardest things that were happening in order to get me to where I am now. And hard, painful. First one is definitely losing people that were close to me. Because I started to make different choices, or wanting to explore making different choices for myself, it meant people who knew a part of me or a version of me at that time, I was not the right person for them anymore. Best friends, close friends, even family members, all of a sudden, there was no connection between us. And that is a really scary place to be when you are trying to navigate change, you're trying to do something good for yourself. You're probably making a different decision and taking a different choice, a different path, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I don't like this you anymore. So now you're left alone and you're questioning yourself all over again. So that was a grief, to be fair, to allow myself to also grieve the who I was before, the moment that I made the decision that I want to live my life feeling incredibly fucking good. And the moment I made that decision, I was like, well, I don't know what that means yet. And you probably listening to this also don't know what that means yet, but it means change for sure. Because the way that I've been living up until this point has not been fulfilling, has not been full. So since that moment, and that then starting on making different choices, creating some different change, grieving the person who would just go into the automatic, go into what I would have known and would have chosen before. So there's a big aspect of grief there, big aspect of losing people that I didn't relate to anymore. And the second hardest part, and it still continues to be the hardest part, about trying to make sure that I stay happy, trying to make sure that I truly am putting myself in places that feel fulfilling, is sticking to my boundaries. Setting boundaries, rules, decisions for myself is a very small percentage of actually the strength that it takes to hold on to them. And sometimes sticking to a boundary also means saying no to the things we want to do. If I have a direction of where I want to go this year, I wanted to make sure I focus on myself. And I say this year, I mean 2025, because this is going to be out in 2026. But in 2025, My decision was actually I want to take care of my health, and I want to grow the connections of the people that I am close to. It also meant saying no to people that maybe I met that were new, that I wanted to get to know, but because that wasn't my decision for that year, that's not where the direction was going, I didn't dedicate time to new connections. I dedicated time to the people that I already knew. And that's really difficult for someone who's extroverted, someone who loves social interaction, to put my energy to the places that I decided to. So creating boundaries, first step, sticking to them, so much harder as well to follow through. And through that, it then takes you further to where you want to go.
Yeah, I think it's like having the plan, isn't it? We can all have a plan, but sticking to the plan is really hard. I think boundaries, oh my gosh, like you're literally talking to the person here who's put my hands up, it always relates to me because I've always abused boundaries, I mean, I'm a lot better than I was. I'm not saying I'm perfect and stuff like that. I mean, that would be too bold to say at this stage, but the thing is, it definitely changed everything. But I think just those moments there, like you said, it's been accumulation for you. Obviously, you've sort of let things go, and you've again, you're in the moment, right? I think this is very clear as well, Paulina, that you're someone that lives in the moment, which is really good because you can hold on to so much of the past that can weigh you down, which obviously there has been tough times. I mean, you can't be here today and go, well, yeah, where I am today, it was quite simple. It was quite easy. You've navigated a lot and you've become this person you are today. So just, we are sort of, it's pretty, I always say it's a sad moment, when you sort of get towards the end of the episode. But for sort of yourself now, I don't want this to be about the future, but just like what is what I've not even asked this question ever on an episode actually, but what is sort of like your mission now for what you do for the people in our society? What is it you want them to receive from being in your presence, I guess?
To accept the possibility that life and that your life and that you in your life can feel truly incredibly alive. This quote keeps coming up to me throughout my whole life, even way before I discovered yoga. It was just always something that has been stuck to me. This: live the life you love and love the life you live.
Yeah.
But actually, say it super slowly and recognize every word from it. So what I hope to give to people through listening to this, through in general getting to know me in any way whatsoever, is just for you to accept the fact that that is possible. I've dealt with rheumatoid arthritis. I've dealt with moving countries. I've dealt with being in a place where I know nobody, speak no language, where I have no doctors and I'm bedbound because I have a huge arthritis flare-up. I've lost very close people to me, friends, family members included, not just through death, but just through different paths. And we can say that it's shitty. We can say that we have a lot of pain. We can say that we're struggling a lot. We can say that, life is not all rainbows, and it 100% is not. But we're still allowed to want and to go in the direction where our life feels alive, where we're not just on automatic, where we're not just going through the motion of things, but actually we feel excited about where we're going.
It's time to feel alive.
It's time to feel alive. Oh, I love that.
Oh, no, I like that. No, seriously though, well said. And that is, I love that quote, bit of a mantra going on there, statement that, I think would definitely resonate with a lot of people. And especially, like I say, with this coming on early in the year, it's a reset. I think just that feeling alive, not going through the motions is so powerful. Well, obviously, look, we could keep going on this alive moment, I guess, for about another hour because I love energy and vibe. This has been so powerful, but I do have a question for you. Last question. Well, it might be last question, it might be second to last question, but I do ask this every single guest, Paulina, and I'd love to know, just from your perspective, what does mastering your life mean to you?
Let's just go with the theme of what I've been saying today, because I did not come prepared with a script for today. Mastering my life means trusting myself through the different changes and evolutions that I'll go through in my life.
Boom. How authentic's that, by the way? It makes sense. If you'd have prepared, no script, by the way, but if you'd have prepared that, I love that answer because it does tie in well. And do you know what I love about asking this question? I ask it at the end of every episode, is that it always encapsulates what the episode's been about. Yeah. And that is your story. That is who you are. And that's really important. And mastering your life doesn't mean that you've mastered it or, you, like I say, you never do. Like say, you're forever evolving, but it's what it means to you, which I think is brilliant. So I love that. I've really enjoyed this. I mean, we are going to put, don't worry, we are going to put everything in the show notes so people can find you. But where is the best place for people to connect with you if they wanted to spark a conversation and find out more about what you do?
Definitely Instagram. I am a very social person. You'll get to see me, my character, my realness, my rawness. I share the good, I share the bad. And if you have not gathered that yet, I do love to chat. So you send me a hello. It's just me in this little Instagram account. It's not a team working behind the scenes.
Love that.
So I'll respond. I love to chat and really just to get to know one another and see what exciting or non-exciting stuff is going on in your life. Definitely Instagram.
Brilliant. Well, obviously that'll be there. But it's just if people are listening and, you know, they've maybe got a few ideas or a few directions where they could go. If it's Instagram where they want to just, get to know you on a deeper level, I think is brilliant. So thank you so much, Paulina, for joining us in the studio today. And I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So did I.